In today's video, we're going to be talking to my good friend Kevin, who's been selling on Amazon for a little over 2 years. He actually started, like most of us, going to thrift stores, garage sales, different things like that. He actually comes from a small town, and over the last couple of years, he's built his business up from doing a couple thousand a month. Earlier this year, he was doing about $5,000 to $6,000 a month, and now over the last couple of months, he's built his business to over $15,000 a month in sales. In today's video, we're really going to break down Kevin's story, how he got started, how he grew his business, some of the lessons, maybe mistakes that he's made. Kevin also has a YouTube channel as well, which I'm excited to link up down below. Yep, it's Hope Reselling with Kevin Smolin, so you can check that out. Thanks so much for coming on the channel, man. How's it going, man? Where are you from again, exactly? I know it's a small town.
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having me. So I live in a city called Logan, Utah. It's kind of the northern part of Utah, pretty close to the Idaho border. The only thing that we have here that anybody would care about is a smaller university called Utah State, but that's about it. Yeah, it's a pretty small community.
Cool, man. So I know you were telling me behind the scenes, you got started selling on Amazon in 2022. And for the viewers right now, a lot of folks who are watching are probably on the newer side. Maybe they're looking to get started. I'm curious, Kevin, how did you discover this crazy world of selling products on Amazon, man? How did that all begin for you?
Yeah, so back in September of 2022, when I started, really the whole thing that drove it was my day job at that point was running a social media marketing agency for real estate agents. And because my business was connected to the real estate market, I kind of saw the writing on the wall with interest rates and things being what they were, that business was going to struggle a little bit. And so I was just looking for a side hustle, just kind of a way to earn some extra money on the side. Started searching YouTube, and I came across this crazy guy's video named Steve Rakin, who was showing how to go to thrift stores, how to scan books. And I was like, I could probably do that. And that's honestly how I got started.
Do you have a lot of thrift stores in your area? I know, again, you're from a smaller town.
Yeah, there's really 3 of them, and 2 of them are really small. And just being a small community, it was great to get started. And when I first started going, there was enough inventory to kind of get things moving. But the long-term problem that I was running into as I was trying to grow and scale was just their inventory wasn't turning over as often as I needed. And so the next community that really had some thrift stores, it was about a 1-hour drive, one direction. So to go there and thrift and then drive back home, it was adding 2 hours to what I was doing. And again, long-term viability, it just wasn't really a solution. That was one of the big challenges I was running into early on.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you're smart, man, for starting with thrift stores because, I see a lot of people, I do a lot of coaching calls behind the scenes, and 8 out of 10 times people are like, I'm with you. Like I booked this coaching call because I just spent $3,000 on a course, or I invested $10,000 in wholesale or private label, which those work. But when you're new and maybe you don't have any e-commerce experience, or you're new to Amazon, in my opinion, I think that's the worst way to go about it. So like when you thrift and stuff, it's not very scalable. Like you said, it's competitive. You have to find thrift stores and stuff, but you really learn the ropes and you make your mistakes, right? You earn your stripes thrifting and whatnot. So how long did you thrift until, and we'll talk more about this, until you moved on to other ways to source? So how long did that thrifting journey last for you?
So it lasted around 3 months, and then I realized the inventory wasn't turning over and I wasn't getting anywhere. I was doing about $1,500 a month at that point in sales. And so I started driving to other communities, and it worked. That got me up to about $3,000 a month, but it just was taking so much time that it just stopped being worth my while to do that. So really the next step of growth there was I got ungated in CDs and DVDs, and that just opened up a whole new world for me. That changed things dramatically, and that drove me to about $4,000 or $5,000 a month.
So you were thrifting, doing some garage sales. I know you were telling me, were you doing library sales as well?
There's one library here in my community, so it wasn't a great option. I have never been to a library sale. Did a lot of estate sales, yard sales, and like Facebook Marketplace and online auctions. That's where I was getting a lot of inventory back at that time.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah. So for anyone who's watching, who's on the newer side right now, this is the exact way that I always coach people and recommend. Start with thrifting. Learn the process of how to scan, how to analyze, how to list, how to ship, how to put a label over a barcode, how to deal with Amazon's craziness when they lose a shipment or you deal with a return. Like you just have to learn the business. So you did that for about 3 months. So you said you built that up to around 4,000 a month, but I know you're a big family man. So,
Yeah.
we're obviously friends on Facebook. Kevin's also a coach inside of our group over at resellingfreedom.com. So I've gotten to know Kevin a bit, and that must have been tough, right? Being a family man, and now you're spending all this time, you've got your social media business, and now you're driving all around. So I'm assuming after about 3 or 4 months, you got engaged with CDs and DVDs, and you're like, how can I start finding products without having to leave my family and drive all around town? So talk to people about, what kind of happened? Like, how did you discover what you're doing now? Because obviously I know what you're doing, but share with folks what you're doing now and how that transition happened for you.
Yeah, so I got quote unquote lucky, I guess is maybe the best way of saying it. Last summer, as I was looking at Facebook Marketplace and different places for inventory, I came across a lady that was selling her parents' DVD and CD collection at a yard sale. So I went there, I was excited. I started scanning, got a bunch of titles, and there literally was over 5,000 items at this sale. It was insane. And so I just walked up to the lady and I said, "Hey, how much? I'm just curious. What would you take if I wanted to buy everything?" And she gave me a number. It was about 2,000. And I said, "Well, what if I gave you 1,400?" She thought about it for a couple hours and then said, "Okay, I'll do that deal." So I paid 1,400 bucks for over 5,000 titles. After all expenses, I had over 10,000 profit on that transaction. And that really fueled a lot of growth for last year. It kind of just was right place, right time. And one of the things that was super nice about that transaction is probably about 60% of everything that I bought was brand new, still in the plastic,
Yeah.
had like Walmart stickers on it. So I knew it was real. I knew it was all just stuff they had bought at stores. So it was a great transaction, but I knew that wasn't repeatable. That was just, right place, right time. I got
Yeah.
lucky and that's great. So I started looking for the next opportunity and I just wasn't finding a lot of opportunities. And then I saw this crazy guy named Steve Rakin talking about eBay to Amazon. And so I was like, hey, eBay, that solves a lot of my problems just because I didn't have retail stores to go do retail arbitrage. I didn't have a lot of thrift stores. And so by using eBay and having the inventory come to me for where I was at in my business, that was a huge solution to my problems.
Was that tough for you to transition from paying a buck or two, or in the case where you bought, all those DVDs for pennies on the dollar?
Yeah.
Obviously that's my business now. Over the last 3 years, I had a car hit my house. I got into a car accident. Matter of fact, I had a car go right through there. So I told Kevin there may be some action going on if we have that lady coming around into town again. But was that tough for you to move to eBay? Because with eBay, obviously there's softwares you need to learn. You're not paying a buck for an item. You might be paying $15 for a DVD and selling it for 35 instead of paying two and then selling it for 35. So what was that like for you? I know there's a lot to unpack right here, but when you got into sourcing from eBay to sell on Amazon, can you bring us back to what that felt like, what that looked like?
Yeah, I mean, when you do the math of that transaction that I just told you about, all that yard sale of all those CDs and DVDs, I think my buy cost, it was like 20, 25 cents per item. So to go from that to sourcing on eBay, where you are paying, depending on what it is that you're sourcing, you're paying 15, 20, $25 an item, whatever it is. Sure, it's absolutely a sticker shock. But for me, aside from that, being able to do it from the comfort of my home and not having to spend 2 hours driving to different, locations and different thrift stores, just the time that I was saving, knowing what my time was worth, it made spending, more money per item. It just made sense. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that really happened that really fueled a lot of growth in my business when I started with eBay to Amazon was, with all of those CDs and DVDs that I bought, I think my average sale price was like $18, $20 an item. I mean, it was pretty low. And then making that transition, in fact, I just pulled up a report. Right now, my average price per item, I'm just about $70. And so it's a huge transition to where you're doing fewer transactions, but the net return is so much higher that it just makes it worthwhile.
Got you. Now, what types of products were you going after? Only DVDs? Were you doing books? Were you doing board games? Or were you just kind of sticking with DVDs at first? Because that's what I did when I first started eBay to Amazon over 3 years ago. I was all DVDs. Like every single item was a DVD. And then I slowly transitioned to, other products. Well, I was doing books as well.
Yeah, so I was still doing books and CDs and DVDs just because that's what I was ungated on. The first step I took into ungating something else was in electronics. And I quickly learned that was not for me. I know you love electronics. I don't. My return rate was so massively high. I just realized that I just didn't like that niche. So even though I started there and it raised my business, I just realized long term with the amount of returns I was having, and maybe it was just buying the wrong items. I don't know. It was a learning curve, but I decided to get ungated in toys and board games. And that really is probably 90% of everything I'm selling these days. And I absolutely love that niche.
Nice, man. Nice. Now, were you nervous at all starting eBay to Amazon, coming from thrifting and library sales? Because you hear it all the time, like in the comments. I see it on my videos. And, there is some truth to this. It is, there's a level of risk selling products where you don't have like a wholesale invoice or you're not the brand owner. So were you nervous at all transitioning, or were you thinking to yourself, I'm already selling products without, the legitimate invoices because you were going thrifting and whatnot? It's the same exact thing, but in the community, I feel like E to A kind of gets eBay to Amazon gets a bad rap because people are like, you're going to get kicked off, you're going to get your account suspended. And people have been telling me that from thrift stores for 10 plus years, and I'm still here and my account's in perfect standing. How did you feel about that? Were you nervous? Did you have any concerns?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that is the risk of this model is not having invoices for the items that you're purchasing. But I don't know. I guess the way that I look at it is I think you have risk anytime you get out of bed in the morning, right? Being an entrepreneur and being a business owner, I have my social media business on the side. And my that business is great until something happens in the real estate market, something that I have zero control over.
Yeah.
So there's risk there. There's risk in anything you do. It's just knowing how to manage the risk. And the way that I look at it is the risk is pretty small. If you're doing other forms, like if you're doing wholesale where you're buying massive amounts of inventory of specific ASINs, there's a huge risk there of, price tanking, and maybe you're not making the money that you should be making on that. So there's risk no matter what your model is. It's just finding one that you're okay with accepting. And, with a lot of the things that you teach as far as here's how you identify the ASINs that you want to stay away from that are going to get you in jeopardy. It's just knowledge. When you know those things, the risk is pretty minimal.
Yeah, man. I love it, man. I'm enjoying this interview so far, man. I'm learning a lot that I haven't even known about you. And just a reminder, folks, give Kevin a follow. I don't know where you are for subscribers on here, or somewhat on the newer side, but man, I definitely want to get a bunch of people to follow you because this guy's actually doing it, and you're sharing some pretty cool videos on your channel. So I'm sure we'll put it on the screen, link it up down below. But with that being said, so in your business nowadays, you've scaled it to about 15,000 a month. Can you talk a little bit about what are your ROIs, your return on investments? What is your minimum profit when you flip an item from eBay to Amazon? Yeah, kind of talk a little bit about how you've grown your business.
So when I'm doing sourcing, my minimum profit is either $15 on an item or at least 60% ROI. The 60% ROI is what I look at more. And I've done a lot of I'm a statistic freak. I sit and look at probably way too many numbers. It's just kind of the way my brain works. But my average ROI on every item I've ever bought, including the ones that I've lost money on, I'm at 72% ROI. That's my average. And then my average time to sell an item is 37 days. So I'm measuring from the time I buy it to the time it sells on Amazon. 37 days is my average.
Dude, that is really, really good, man. 70% ROI, $15 minimum profit, 37 days. That's solid. And that's one of the reasons I love, I don't want to make this whole eBay to Amazon interview, but that's what we're both doing. That's what I love about eBay to Amazon. You could literally cherry pick the best of the best. Whereas at a thrift store, I mean, yeah, your margins are through the roof, but you're breaking your back, you're driving all over town. Sometimes you just got to take what you got to take because it's like, man, I can't leave this $4 item that's going to make $4 profit because that's going to pay for my Subway or my gas, right? You got to take what's out there, based on the competition. Whereas on eBay, you're literally sourcing from a marketplace that has millions and millions and millions of products. And, another cool thing, and we'll get into this, is on eBay, you can't really do this at a thrift store. Say an item on eBay is $30 and maybe, it sells for 15, it's only a 47% ROI. That's not good enough for you based on your standards. Well, guess what? On eBay, you could make a best offer. And I know you're big into making best offers. We have a bunch of videos we're actually recording, so you'll see Kevin quite a bit on my channel. But in one of the upcoming videos, Kevin talks about the importance of making best offers. So, how pivotal is that to your success in your eBay to Amazon business, finding deals that are kind of but then you make a best offer?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's absolutely pivotal because when you can factor in a little bit of negotiation and being able to make offers that people are okay with, it takes, just like you said, an okay deal and turns it into a great deal, or a somewhat marginal deal and turning it into a deal that's, in that 60-70% range profit. So yes, I love, in fact, that's one of the things I look for as I'm sourcing are items that have a best offer. I love seeing those type of auctions or those type of listings just because you can make a best offer. And like I said, turn an okay deal into a great deal just with a little bit of negotiation.
Did you ever sell on eBay, Kevin, or are you just buying?
Yes. No, I have bought, I do a little bit of selling on eBay on the side. In fact, the very first transaction that kind of got me started down this whole rabbit hole was when I decided to get into reselling. Amazon wasn't even a thought on my mind. eBay was what I was planning on. So I went to a thrift store and when I walked in, as fate would have it, this was the very first reselling transaction I ever did. They had a brand new in the box, like camera security system that they were selling for $75. I bought it, turned around and resold it on eBay for $225. And that's
Wow.
kind of what started that's kind of what ignited the fire. And I was like, okay, if I can do that and not even know what I'm doing, then what would happen if I actually knew what I was doing? So I started doing research, and that literally was the moment I found you.
Dude, that is so cool, man. Yeah, I mean, I sold on eBay for many years before Amazon. So, yeah, I know how that goes. But the reason I brought that up is because, I sold on eBay for many years. And one of the things I didn't like about eBay, like there's a lot of things I like about eBay over Amazon, like not having all these gating restrictions, all these crazy rules. Like there's downsides to Amazon. But I remember on eBay, I would list up a ton of products sometimes at good prices. Like I would price it correctly. Like I spent a lot of time and it just wouldn't sell. The eBay algorithm is just really nasty sometimes, and
Yep.
you get everything right. And the reason I bring that up, this poses an opportunity for people like you and I buying on eBay because guess what? Say, Johnny Boy or Heather or Sarah goes to the thrift store and buys an item for $2 and lists up a cool item for 60 and it just sits. It might be worth 60 on eBay, but it doesn't sell. Guess what? Kevin comes in and makes an offer for 40. Yeah, some people might say, oh, come on, that's a jerk move. You're undercutting them by 33%. But Sarah paid $1 for that item and you're coming in and making her $30 profit. She'll take that. And with Amazon, a lot of these products, you might be thinking like, you can't take a product that sells for 60 on eBay and sell it for 100 on Amazon. I've done that like 12,000 times in the last 2 years. But that's the opportunity. A lot of eBay sellers are suffering with the algorithm, and you could go in and make a best offer. So I don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole, but if So how are you finding products on eBay to flip on Amazon? I'm curious kind of like how you got started. I started by literally taking out my phone, opening up the Amazon seller app before there were any rake and profit videos or checkmate flips or you making videos or anybody. This was, 3.5 years ago. Like nobody knew about it really, at least online. I would open my Amazon seller app and I would scan the newly listed DVDs. And I would find a ton of deals like that, dude. I swear I found a lot of deals. I did the same thing on Facebook Marketplace. Were you as stupid as I was in the beginning scanning with?
No, I'm not sure stupid's the right word, but since you've been doing this a lot longer than I have, where I'm almost 2 years into this, I just jumped on FlipMine. So FlipMine was the tool that I used starting off. And it was nice just because, you subscribe, you pay your subscription fee and turn it on and plug in what you're looking for, and it just spits out a bunch of potential opportunities. And so it was way more efficient than, what you're talking about, just looking at new items that are listed on eBay and just looking them up one by one and figuring out what made sense and what didn't.
Gotcha. So you started with FlipMine, and how long were you using
Yep.
that for? Are you still using it? What are you doing now? Like, is this, maybe breakdown for folks who are watching, because you're doing about 15,000 a month in sales and you're working a job still, like you still have your own business and everything. So it's not like you're putting 40, 50 hours a week into this business, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I'm not. So I used FlipMine for probably 6, 7 months, probably around that time period. And then this crazy guy I know named Steve came out with his own software. And it's far superior in my opinion. So I switched, and Replen Catcher is what I'm using now. And yeah, if I probably spend about 2, 3 hours sourcing in the morning, I'm able to spend my budget of what I'm looking to spend every single day. And so, yeah, I've also upgraded to where instead of those packages coming to me and opening them and then inspecting them and then getting the shipments ready and sending that off to Amazon, I've also, within the last about 2 months, started using a prep center. So all those packages are going to the prep center. They open it, inspect it, list it, ship it. So by having them do that, that has freed up a lot of time. And yeah, just allows me to spend more time with family, more time growing my business. And that's been a huge, huge step.
So for me to kind of touch on that, I was scanning with my phone for a while and then I learned about Flipmine and I use Flipmine I actually still use it till this day. I think Flipmine is still a fantastic tool, even though I have a tool now that's competing. I would say they're quite different. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having both. I still use Flipmine. So I don't want to be shedding any bad light on Flipmine because I owe a lot of my success to Flipmine because that tool
Oh, same here. You bet.
yeah, was a game changer. So big shout out to David, who was actually the founder of that tool. But what made you stop using Flipmine and using my tool, which I released a couple months ago, that's called Replen Catcher?
Yeah. So the main thing that made me switch, because in the beginning I was using both simultaneously, both Flipmine and Replen Catcher. So the Replen Catcher, for people who are unfamiliar with it, a replen is it's an item that you want to replenish, hence the term. So it's something you've sold before, you're buying more quantity to keep selling. And so I had a list of items that I had sold and had been very profitable, and I just kept it on a spreadsheet. So it was like I'd go click on the link for each product and see if there was something new, and then if there wasn't, I had to click on the next one, and it worked, but it was tedious. And so being able to take all of those items that I was tracking manually and putting them into the Replen Catcher software and having that do the tracking for me, it used to take me probably next to about 5, 6 hours a day to spend my sourcing budget. That was half of what I'm doing now. So now with the Replen Catcher software, I'm able to spend double the amount in less than half the time that I was spending before. And so it freed up so much time that it's allowed me to expand and grow my business. And then one of the other limitations that I had with Flipmine is that it seemed like so many people, their filters were kind of the same as far as the products that they were looking for.
Great.
And it kind of got to the point where it seemed like I was just refreshing my screen so fast to try and buy the next opportunity that it just felt like I was constantly in a race against other people.
Yeah.
And so one of the big selling points for me about the Replen Catcher software is that instead of the software feeding me opportunities, I'm feeding the software the types of ASINs that I want to look at. And those are going to be different than what the next person is looking at. And so I feel like it's not the same race to go by the competing inventory that I experienced so often with Flipmine. That's really the major reason I made the switch, was because I was able to be so much more effective because I'm feeding the software the ASINs that I want to look at instead of just competing against what everybody else was doing.
Now I'm interested in knowing what was the big game changer for you because I know you were doing around $5,000 to $6,000 per month, and the last couple of months you've doubled, nearly tripled that now. So could you share a couple tips of what you did for folks who are maybe flipping from eBay to Amazon? Maybe they're doing a couple thousand a month. What were maybe two or three things or changes that you made, whether it's a tool or it's spending more or it's a different category? Like what were those things that really helped you to get up to 15? I know you're trying to get up to 25K now, which I'm sure you'll get to, man. So yeah, let's hear what you got.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I would recommend for anybody looking to scale. So one of the things that opened up a ton of opportunity for me was getting ungated in other categories. So I bought some Lego keychains. That's a pretty common thing that a lot of people do to get ungated in that niche, the niche, the toys and board games. What a lot of people don't realize, and I didn't know this until I started just messing around trying different things. But when I got my Lego invoice and the keychains that I used to get ungated in Lego, I don't know. This thought just occurred to me. I wonder if I can use it to get ungated in other stuff. So I took my same Lego keychain, the same Lego images, and I submitted it to get ungated for Disney, and Amazon approved it. And then I did it for Marvel, and Amazon approved it. And then Mattel and Barbie and Funko Pop. I kept submitting the exact same invoice, the exact same everything, and they just kept ungating me for the next product line, the next product line, the next product line. So I spent like 50, $60 to buy, 10 of those keychains. And that opened up an entire category for me for that same amount that I had spent. And so I think one mistake a lot of people make when it comes to ungating is they think they have to buy 10 of Lego, 10 of Mattel, 10 of Barbie, 10 of Funko Pop. And I don't know, maybe everybody's experience is different, but my experience is that same invoice kind of opened up an entire category for me. And that was huge. So that was one of the biggest things that helped me grow. And then the second one was really getting clear on what my minimum profit was. So when I made the decision of, hey, 60% ROI is the minimum I'm willing to accept, it just made it so that I wasn't spending time researching things that were less than that. And by being more focused, my time became more efficient. So that was also really big. And then the third was just taking the money that I was earning and reinvesting it and just being able to expand. Those are really the things that I would point to that just made a huge difference.
Dude, I love it, man. Congratulations. And I'll say on that ungating note, I would just throw out a warning for everybody. Be careful with that. I've heard a lot of people having success with that. Sometimes Amazon has these little glitches where they let you do these crazy wild things. But I would just say for anyone watching, I would be careful of that because Amazon does have a tendency to come around and catch that one day, maybe not. I don't think what you did was wrong necessarily. If it works, it works. But, as of late, I've noticed a lot of people. Have you seen it at all? Some of your products have been regated at all. Have you been dealing with that?
No, I've seen a lot of people talking about it where books are concerned, but where I'm not really
Yeah.
selling books. That hasn't
Yeah.
happened to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, but kind of the stance that I took on it was if it's wrong, Amazon's just going to say no. I mean, that's just kind of the way that I looked at it. So
Yeah.
I figured I had everything to gain and really nothing to lose.
Yeah, there were people doing the same thing. They were buying like a product on Amazon. So you used to be able to buy 10 products on Amazon, get an invoice from Amazon and use it. Now they've upped that on Amazon to 50 products if you're going to use a Amazon invoice. But I knew people who use that Amazon invoice for over the counter, for Marvel, for Milwaukee and did it. So I mean, it is what it is, but hey man, it's a business and if it works, that's on Amazon. Fix your algorithm, right? Get your chat GPT fixed.
Yeah, like I said, I figured if it was wrong, they would just say no. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely understand. Well, cool, man. So to kind of finish things off, man, when we talk in a year from now, where are you going to be, man? What do you want to be doing in a year from now in your business? What's the goal?
well, the goal is to start hiring some VAs and kind of outsourcing some of the things that I'm still doing. That's kind of next steps and things that are on my radar. Yeah, so I'm currently doing about 15,000 a month. The goal by the end of the year is to get to about 25. That's kind of the goal I have in mind. So I've doubled my spending to kind of help me get there. And yeah, that's where I hope to be by the end of 2024.
Cool, man. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for sharing your story and dropping a bunch of knowledge. Again, if you guys enjoyed this video, give Kevin a follow on his YouTube channel. And if you're in our community, so we have a membership group. Kevin's one of the coaches inside of resellingfreedom.com, where we do 4 to 6 live coaching calls a week. We have over 10 coaches, including myself, Kevin, a bunch of other folks, people who thrift, do eBay to Amazon. We got Josiah and Checkmate Flips. Those guys both do close to 6 figures a month with eBay to Amazon, which is kind of crazy. Definitely check out Reselling Freedom. Check out Kevin's channel. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below or leave a comment on Kevin's YouTube channel. But thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on and sharing your story. And hopefully the folks who are watching got value in this. And yeah, stay posted on the channel because we got a couple more videos coming out with Kevin talking about selling board games, which is Kevin's bread and butter, and also how to find hidden gems on eBay to flip on Amazon. So those videos will be coming out in the next few weeks. Much love, Kevin. We'll see you in the next one.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.